The bright glow of the command center bathed Admiral Taiho's scaled face in blue light. His large eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display showing the human colony on Threshold Prime. After conquering 12 species across 3 star systems, the hegemony had expected little resistance from these newcomers to galactic society. "Begin the attack," Taiho ordered, his voice calm and measured. The hegemony fleet moved with practiced precision. 200 warships descended upon the human settlement, their weapons turning the night sky into day. Defense platforms around the colony crumbled under concentrated fire. Ground forces in their armored carriers prepared to land and claim another world for the hegemony. "Primitive defenses," Commander Jiwu remarked from her station, just as intelligence reported. Taiho nodded, but something troubled him. The humans were fighting back, but their resistance seemed too organized, too measured. Their ships fought in small groups, concentrating fire on specific targets before retreating. They're buying time, he realized suddenly. Scan for transmissions leaving the system. Before his officers could comply, alerts blared across the command center. 3 hegemony capital ships, each the size of a small city, had gone silent. Their signals vanished from the tactical display simultaneously. "What happened?" Taiho demanded. The answer came in the form of visual feeds from nearby vessels. A single human ship, sleek and angular, darted between the burning wrecks of the hegemony capital ships. It was smaller than its victims, but moved with incredible speed and precision. "Identify that vessel," Taiho ordered. "It's broadcasting an identification signal," reported Officer Doyun. "They call it HS Nemesis." The Nemesis turned and accelerated toward a 4th hegemony ship. Point defense systems fired desperately at the approaching vessel, but the human ship seemed to predict the patterns, weaving through the deadly fire without taking significant damage. "Impossible," whispered Jiwu. The Nemesis unleashed a barrage of weapons that struck with surgical precision. The hegemony ship's shields failed in sections, and the human weapons found the vulnerable points with unerring accuracy. "They know our weaknesses," Taiho realized. "How?" As the 4th hegemony ship erupted in flames, the Nemesis changed course and accelerated away from the battle. Its engines flared with an energy signature unlike anything in hegemony records. "Pursue and destroy that vessel," Taiho commanded. 3 more hegemony warships broke formation to chase the Nemesis. The human ship led them into a dense asteroid field, where maneuverability would be critical. One by one, the pursuing ships reported damage from precise hit-and-run attacks before falling silent. In the command center, silence fell as the tactical display updated. 7 capital ships lost to a single human vessel. "The rest of the colony has fallen," Jiwu reported. "But the Nemesis has escaped our forces. It appears to be heading toward the human home system." Taiho's fists clenched. It must be destroyed before it can warn their homeworld. The doors to the command center slid open. A tall officer with a face marked by old battle scars entered. Fleet Commander Minho was known throughout the hegemony for his tactical brilliance and determination. He had led the campaigns that conquered 2 entire star systems. "I couldn't help but overhear," Minho said, approaching the holographic display. "This human vessel interests me." Taiho turned to face him. "You volunteer to hunt it down." Minho studied the recordings of the Nemesis in action. The way it moved, the precision of its attacks. This was no ordinary warship with an ordinary crew. "Yes," he replied. "This human ship represents something new, something dangerous. It must be eliminated before it can share what it knows." Taiho nodded. "Take whatever forces you require. Find this human vessel and destroy it. The conquest must continue as planned." As the other officers returned to their duties, Minho remained, watching the last images of the Nemesis as it vanished into the darkness of space. Something about its movements bothered him. Most prey fled in panic, taking the most direct route to safety. The Nemesis had chosen a complex path. It had engaged and disengaged with precise timing. Its attacks had been calculated to cause maximum damage with minimum risk. This wasn't the behavior of prey fleeing a predator. It was the behavior of a predator assessing its next meal. Minho's expression hardened. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something unfamiliar, a cold sensation that settled in his chest as he contemplated his new mission. It felt remarkably like fear. Commander Minho stood on the bridge of his flagship Eternal Victory, eyes fixed on the asteroid field that stretched before them. Somewhere in that chaotic maze of spinning rocks hid the human vessel that had become his obsession. For 3 weeks, the HSS Nemesis had evaded his best efforts to track it down. "Any signal, Officer Minji?" Minho asked. "Nothing, Commander," she replied. "If they're in there, they're running silent." Minho nodded. The human ship had shown remarkable ability to mask its energy signature, but there was nowhere left to run. His fleet had methodically pushed the Nemesis toward this dead-end system with its thick asteroid belt. "Take us in," he ordered. "Slow and steady. I want sensor sweeps at maximum sensitivity." The Eternal Victory moved into the asteroid field, its massive hull dwarfing the rocks that drifted past. 2 support vessels followed, forming a search pattern designed to flush out the prey. "Sir," Officer Dohyun called out, "I'm detecting a faint heat trace. Might be engine residue." Minho smiled. "Follow it." Deep in the asteroid field, Captain Jaya of the HSS Nemesis watched the hegemony vessels on her tactical display. Her ship floated motionless, power systems at minimal levels, nestled against a large iron-rich asteroid that helped mask their signature. "They took the bait," she said quietly. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Kiju, nodded. "The heat trail leads them deeper into the densest part of the field. Their maneuverability will be compromised." Jaya studied the alien commander's approach. Minho was more cautious than the other hegemony officers they had encountered. He didn't rush blindly after them. He set traps, anticipated their movements. "He's learning," she murmured. "Time to show him something new." She turned to her communications officer. "Hyun, are the drones in position?" "Yes, Captain. All 6 are ready." "Activate them." Across the asteroid field, 6 small devices suddenly powered up. Each began broadcasting a signal that perfectly mimicked the Nemesis's engine signature. They accelerated in different directions, creating the illusion of multiple ships. On the Eternal Victory, alarms sounded as sensors detected the new signals. "Multiple contacts," Minji reported. "Sir, there are 6. No, 7 vessels matching the Nemesis profile." Minho frowned. "That's impossible. It's 1 ship." "The signatures match perfectly," Dohyun insisted. "They're either decoys or they've been joined by others." Minho finished the thought. He studied the tactical display, trying to determine which contact was the real target. "Divide the fleet," he ordered. "Each vessel will pursue 1 contact." As the hegemony ships separated, Jaya smiled. "Power up weapons and engines," she commanded. "Target the flagship's port thrusters." The Nemesis came to life, systems powering up from dormancy. It pushed away from its hiding place and accelerated directly toward Minho's vessel from behind. The first warning Minho had was a sudden flash as the Nemesis fired. Precision shots struck the Eternal Victory's engines, crippling its maneuverability. Before his crew could react, the human ship swept past, already targeting the vessel's weapon systems with surgical precision. "Return fire," Minho shouted. But the Nemesis was already gone, darting between asteroids with impossible agility. Seconds later, alarms sounded as one of Minho's support ships reported critical damage. "It's picking us off one by one," Yuna, his second-in-command, said. The other contacts were decoys. Minho watched as the Nemesis disappeared again. In just minutes, it had severely damaged 2 ships and vanished without taking significant damage. "Order all ships to retreat from the asteroid field," he commanded. "We need open space to coordinate against it." As his damaged fleet limped out of the asteroid field, Minho studied the battle recordings. The human ship hadn't just attacked, It had tested their responses, noted their defensive patterns, and targeted specific systems. It's learning about us, he realized aloud. Over the next several days, reports came in from across hegemony space. A supply convoy destroyed. A communications relay disabled. A small outpost attacked. Its defense systems analyzed, then neutralized. Each time, survivors reported the same thing. A single human vessel that appeared without warning, struck with terrible precision, then vanished. In his command center, Minho mapped the attacks. They formed a pattern. The Nemesis was systematically targeting different types of hegemony technology, testing different weapons against different defenses. It's not running from us, he told his officers during a strategy meeting. It's hunting us. Officer Yunha looked troubled. The crew speaks of this ship as if it were a ghost. Some refuse assignments to outer patrols. It's no ghost, Minho said firmly. It's something far more dangerous. It's studying us, learning our weaknesses. He looked at the star map showing the incidents. And once it learns enough, it will take that knowledge back to Earth. Minho's hand tightened into a fist. The hunter had become the hunted, and for the first time in the hegemony's long history of conquest, its forces knew fear. Lieutenant Jawa sat in the sterile interrogation room aboard Minho's flagship. His uniform was torn, and dried blood marked a cut above his eye, but his posture remained straight, almost relaxed. He had been captured during a daring raid on a disabled hegemony vessel, a trap set by Minho that had finally yielded results, though at the cost of 2 ships. Minho entered the room and sat across from the human. He studied Jawa with genuine curiosity. This was the first time he had seen a human up close. Your ship continues to be a problem, Minho said finally. Why not flee to your homeworld? Why stay and fight when you are outnumbered? Jawa smiled slightly. Would you run? I would make a strategic retreat to gather superior forces. And if retreat meant letting an enemy learn about your homeworld's defenses, if it meant giving them time to prepare for your people. Minho considered this. Then I would do as you have done. Gather intelligence, test vulnerabilities. Exactly, Jawa said. You understand battlefield logic. That's what makes you dangerous. Minho leaned forward. How does one ship manage to cause so much damage? Your technology should not be advanced enough to challenge us. The Nemesis is special, Jawa admitted. But it's not the technology that makes the difference. It's how we think. Explain. Jawa gestured at Minho. Your species and the others in the hegemony. How did they evolve? How did they develop civilization? Minho frowned, puzzled by the question. Through cooperation. Through the natural building of social structures. Yes, Jawa nodded. That's what your records would show. But humans, we developed through conflict. We fought ourselves for thousands of years. When we finally united and looked to the stars, we had centuries of warfare to draw upon. Minho's expression changed as he processed this information. You're saying that humans have more experience with war than peace. Our history books are filled with battles, not treaties, Jawa replied. The Nemesis was built based on lessons learned through countless conflicts. Its crew was selected for their ability to think unpredictably. Meanwhile, aboard the Nemesis, Captain Jaya studied the data they had gathered from their encounters with hegemony forces. Her tactical team had compiled a comprehensive analysis of the alien technology. Their shield systems are powerful, she noted, but they recalibrate every 90 seconds. During that process, there's a 3-second window of vulnerability. Tactical Officer Hyunjin nodded. And their targeting systems have a blind spot when we approach along their ventral axis at high speed. What about their communications? Ja asked. Encrypted, but predictable, answered Communications Officer Seojin. They use a standardized protocol across all vessels. We've identified patterns we can exploit. Jaya stood up, looking at the assembled information. We've learned more about their military technology in 3 weeks than our intelligence services managed in 6 months of observation. Captain, Seojin said, I've established a secure channel to Earth Command. We can transmit our findings. Jaya nodded. Send everything. Include the tactical simulations and suggested countermeasures. The fleet needs to know what we're facing. As the data streamed toward Earth, Jaya felt a mixture of pride and concern. The Nemesis had gathered vital intelligence, but at great risk. The ship had taken damage in their last encounter. Repairs were ongoing, but resources were limited. How much longer can we keep this up? Asked Kiju, her second-in-command. As long as necessary, Jaya replied. Every day we keep hegemony forces focused on us is another day Earth has to prepare. Back in the interrogation room, Minho continued his questioning. If you evolved through conflict, he asked, why does your ship avoid direct battle? Why use these guerrilla tactics? Jawa laughed. Because we learned that the strongest don't always win. The smartest do. The ones who understand their enemy best. Minho felt an unfamiliar chill. Throughout the hegemony's expansion, they had encountered species that fought bravely but predictably. None had shown this level of adaptation. How many ships like the Nemesis does Earth have? He asked. Jawa just smiled. Enough. Later, as Minho reviewed the interrogation recordings, Officer Yuna approached. Did you learn anything useful? She asked. I learned that we've made a terrible mistake, Minho replied. We approached this conflict as we have all others, with overwhelming force against a predictable enemy. He brought up the latest reports of Nemesis sightings. But these humans, they don't think like other species. They don't fight like them either. What do we do? Yuna asked. Minho's expression hardened. We must capture or destroy the Nemesis before it can transmit what it's learned to Earth. And if we fail, then the hegemony will face something it has never encountered before, Minho said quietly. An enemy that knows us better than we know ourselves. The human mining colony hung in space like a jewel against the darkness. 1,300 civilians worked there, extracting rare minerals from the asteroid belt of Proxima Centauri b. Now they served a different purpose, as bait in an elaborate trap. Commander Minho stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Invincible, watching the colony through the main viewport. His previous command had been too damaged to repair after the encounter with the Nemesis. All ships in position? He asked. Yes, Commander, Officer Yunho replied. 17 vessels hidden behind the larger asteroids. Weapon systems charged but dormant to minimize energy signatures. Minho nodded. And the colony? Broadcasting distress signals on all human frequencies. Our forces have made their presence visible enough to be detected. The plan was simple but effective. Make it appear that a small hegemony force had attacked the mining colony. The Nemesis, true to its mission of gathering intelligence, would come to investigate. When it did, Minho's hidden fleet would strike from all sides, leaving no avenue of escape. Now we wait, Minho said. Aboard the Nemesis, Captain Jada studied the tactical display with a frown. The mining colony's distress signals had reached them 2 hours ago, and she had immediately ordered a course change to investigate. Now, as they approached, something felt wrong. Scan the area, she ordered. Maximum range. Science Officer Minji worked at her station. I'm detecting hegemony energy signatures around the colony. 4 vessels. Wait. She adjusted her instruments. There are thermal readings behind the larger asteroids. 17 distinct signatures. It's a trap, Tactical Officer Gunjan stated. Obviously, Jaya agreed. And well designed. Kiju looked concerned. Do we retreat? No, Jaya replied. If we leave, they'll likely take out their frustration on the colonists. Besides, we've learned enough about their technology to try something new. She turned to Communications Officer Seojin. Can you access their communication frequency? Yes, Captain. We've been monitoring it since our encounter in the Taurus sector. Good. Prepare to send this signal on my mark. Jaya outlined her plan quickly. It was dangerous, relying on precise timing. and the knowledge they had gained about hegemony systems. But if it worked, all hands to battle stations, she ordered. We're going in. On the Invincible, Minho tensed as sensors detected the approaching human vessel. They're coming, he said, unable to hide his surprise. Directly toward the colony. Should they have detected our hidden ships? Yuna asked. Possibly. Their scanning technology has proven superior to our estimates. Then why approach? Before Minho could answer, Officer Doyun called out from his station. Commander, new orders coming through from Fleet Command. What orders? Minho demanded. He had received no communication from headquarters. All ships are ordered to change position. New formation coordinates being transmitted now. Minho's eyes widened. Belay that. It's not from Command. But it was too late. Several of the hidden vessels had already begun moving, breaking the carefully planned ambush formation. As they emerged from cover, confusion spread through the fleet. All ships, disregard automated commands. Minho shouted into the communication system. This is Commander Minho. Hold positions. The Nemesis accelerated toward the colony, weaving between the now exposed hegemony vessels. Its weapons fired with precision, targeting the ships that had maintained position while avoiding those that were moving erratically due to the false orders. They've hacked our communication network, Yunho realized in horror. How? Minho demanded. Our protocols. They're standardized across the fleet. The human ship must have analyzed them during previous encounters. The bridge shook as the Nemesis scored a direct hit on the Invincible's weapons array. Alarms blared as systems failed across the ship. Evasive maneuvers, Minho ordered. But the Nemesis was already past them, heading directly toward the colony. Instead of attacking the civilians, however, it positioned itself between the colony and the hegemony fleet. What followed was unlike anything in hegemony combat records. The human vessel used the confusion it had created to deadly effect, darting between capital ships that were now struggling to avoid firing on their own allies. It targeted specific systems, engines, weapons, sensors, with unerring accuracy. It knows exactly where to hit us, Minho realized. Every weakness, every vulnerability. The Invincible shuddered as another direct hit damaged its propulsion systems. Around them, the trap had completely collapsed. Hegemony ships fired at sensor ghosts or maneuvered to avoid phantom threats created by the corrupted communication network. All remaining ships concentrate fire on the human vessel. Minho commanded. The order came too late. The Nemesis executed a final attack run, targeting the Invincible's command section. The bridge erupted in sparks and smoke as systems failed catastrophically. Abandon ship, Minho ordered, helping a wounded Yuna from her station. All hands evacuate. As emergency pods launched from the dying flagship, Minho caught a final glimpse of the Nemesis. The human ship was damaged, plasma leaks visible along its hull, but still functional. It turned away from the battlefield, accelerating toward open space. The trap had failed. The hunter had become the prey. And the Nemesis, though wounded, had survived to fight another day. The Grand Council chamber of the hegemony fell silent as the doors slid open. Commander Minho entered slowly, his uniform still bearing the scorch marks from his narrow escape. His face showed new scars, but it was the look in his eyes that caught the attention of the assembled counselors, the look of a warrior who had seen something that changed him. The reports are true, then? Asked Counselor Yongja, rising from his seat at the curved table. The human fleet has broken through our defensive lines in 3 sectors. Minho nodded. They struck simultaneously. Our forces were not prepared for their tactics. How is this possible? Demanded Counselor Suman, her scaled fingers tapping nervously against the table. 3 months ago, they were isolated to a single system. Their technology was inferior to ours. Their technology is still inferior, Minho replied. But they use it differently. He approached the central hologram projector and activated a recording. It showed a battle in progress. Hegemony ships in standard formation against a smaller number of human vessels. But the human ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic at first glance, yet revealed careful coordination when watched closely. Each human vessel targets specific weaknesses in our ships, Minho explained. The same weaknesses the Nemesis identified during its operation. One ship caused all this, asked Counselor Taman in disbelief. One ship showed them how, Minho corrected. The Nemesis wasn't just fighting us, it was studying us. Everything it learned has been implemented by their fleet. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. Some blamed military intelligence for underestimating the humans. Others blamed the fleet commanders for failing to adapt. Silence, shouted Grand Admiral Taiyo, rising from his seat at the head of the table. Commander Minho, what do you recommend? Minho took a deep breath. What he was about to suggest was unprecedented in hegemony history. We should open diplomatic channels with Earth, he said. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. Surrender, Tahoe asked incredulously. After 12 species have fallen before us, you suggest we yield to these humans. I suggest we survive, Minho replied firmly. I have fought the Nemesis. I have interrogated a human officer. I have seen what they can do with limited resources and inferior technology. He gestured to the hologram showing the ongoing battles. This is not a war we can win through conventional means. The humans don't think like any species we've encountered. They evolved through conflict. They expect it. They excel at it. Throughout the hegemony's vast territories, the stories had already spread. Soldiers spoke in hushed tones about the human vessels that seemed to anticipate their every move. They described ships that fought like no others, not with overwhelming power, but with surgical precision and unpredictable tactics. On the front lines, morale collapsed as entire battle groups refused to engage when human ships were detected. The Nemesis effect, they called it. The fear that struck even veteran warriors when facing an enemy that knew their weaknesses better than they did themselves. The conquest must continue, insisted Counselor Yumja. Our dominance depends on it. Our survival depends on understanding when to stop, Minho countered. The humans have a saying I learned from my prisoner. Know when to fold. It means recognizing when continuing a fight will lead only to destruction. The council debated for hours. Reports continued to arrive of hegemony forces retreating, of outposts going silent, of supply lines disrupted by human raiders using tactics identical to those pioneered by the Nemesis. Finally, exhausted and faced with undeniable evidence, Grand Admiral Taiyo made his decision. Prepare a diplomatic transmission to Earth, he ordered. We will open negotiations. As the council dispersed, Minho walked to the observation deck of the station. He gazed out at the stars, wondering if somewhere out there, the Nemesis still operated. Its name had become legend among hegemony forces, the demon ship that couldn't be destroyed, that appeared without warning and vanished just as quickly. Officer Yumha joined him at the viewport, her arm still in a healing brace from their escape. Do you think they'll accept peace? She asked quietly. I don't know, Minho admitted. But I know this, the hegemony conquered 12 species because none of them understood war the way we do. Now we've encountered a species that understands it better. He turned from the stars, his expression solemn. The humans don't just practice war. They've perfected it. And that makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. As the hegemony prepared its peace overture, new reports arrived of human ships pushing deeper into their territory. Leading the advance was a vessel that veterans recognized immediately, the HSS Nemesis, scared but unbroken, still hunting after all this time. The hegemony had conquered worlds with ease, but they had never understood what it meant to face an enemy forged in the crucible of their own violent history. They had never faced humans.